this video, we'll begin our discussion of the power curve, which can be estimated with the trend curve feature. And the file will be demand temp. So the equation of the power curve is y equals A times X, superscript B. And again, we don't know A and B, but Excel can estimate them. Okay, now the interesting thing about the power curve, it can have different shapes. 3 different shapes. If b is greater than 1, like y equals x squared, then the curve gets steeper as x increases. It increases and gets steeper. Now, if b is between 0 and 1, suppose y equals x to the 0.5, curve increases and gets flatter. And that might be diminishing returns, for example. X is advertising expense and Y is sales. You know, when you double your advertising expense, you're not going to double your sales. Or X could be revenue and Y would be headcount for most companies. When you double the revenue, you don't double the headcount. Okay, and that's very common. These are two common situations where a power curve, it's called the power curve because you're raising x to a power there, trying to predict y from x. And when b is less than 0, that'll be our two key examples. For example, y equals x, say to the minus 0.5, minus 1.5. Okay, the curve decreases and gets flat. And a demand curve, that's a very common example. And so let's take an example trying to fit a demand curve using a power curve. So in other words, we're trying to figure out demand would equal some constant times price raised to a power. And B should be negative because we want as the price goes up, demand would go down. And it turns out B is what's called the price elasticity. In other words, and it turns out if you raise the demand 1%, you will sell if B is negative, minus B percent less of your product. So in other words, if B would equal minus 4, a 1% increase in demand, and this means, 1% increase in price. This should say raise price 1%, I'm sorry. 1% increase in price leads to minus a minus 4 or 4% drop in demand. Okay, so I made up some data here. So we've got the price that might be charged for flights between Houston and Indianapolis, one-way tickets. And then I made up basically how many people per day might want to take a plane trip on that route. So if we charge $150 for a one-way ticket, maybe 544 people want to buy a ticket. Charge 160, 494 people want to buy a ticket. So can we find the relationship between price and demand? Well, the first thing is the graph, the data where price is on the x-axis, demand on the y-axis. And Excel always puts what's on in the left-hand column on the x-axis, the right-hand column on the y-axis. And we'll see the curve gets flatter. So the tip-off is if the curve gets flatter, either increasing or decreasing, use the power curve. It'll usually do a pretty good job. Okay, and there are a lot of things in the world. Basically, there's to follow what's called power laws. like the number of websites that get a certain number of hits and things like that, but that's beyond the scope of our videos. But if I do insert and I do this right here, now you see that there's no way you can say that's a straight line. So let's see what we get here. As the price goes up, the demand goes down. Okay, and it's getting flatter. So if I do right click, add trend line. Now power curve, it looks like it should get steeper by this icon, but that's just wrong, I'm sorry. And we don't need the R squared. The R squared for the power curve is really log of Y versus X. Okay, and I mean that's just log of Y versus X, and that's not going to help us much trying to understand anything. Log of Y versus log of X would be the R squared value on those two things, and we don't care about that really. So I would display the I would display the equation here. Okay. Now I probably want to add, it says 1 million. Let's see if I can add more decimal points here. So if I can format the text, format selection, number. Okay, that's looking good. 2 decimal points, that should be okay. Let's say 3 decimal points. Okay, so that's saying the demand would equal 1,016,180 times x to the minus 1.5. The key is the price elasticity here would be 1.5. And that actually happens to be the price elasticity for air travel I got out of David Besenko's one of my friends and colleagues, great microeconomics book. So now the predicted demand here, in other words, whenever you would raise the price 1%, you would get 1.5% less ticket sales. So now this would be 1,016,180.684 times the price. Now, how do you raise to a power? Okay, you use caret key above the 6, sorry. Caret key is the healthiest key on the keyboard, right? Okay. Oh, I think I'm missing a 0. There we go. All right. So the predicted demand, you can see this is very close to the actual demand, except I don't want a dollar sign there. Let's go 2 decimal points. So you can see the predicted demand is very close to the actual demand, so the power curve does a really nice job of fitting demand. Now another interesting way to fit demand is by using a polynomial, which is on trend curve, which we'll talk about. You would say demand equals A plus B times price plus C times price squared. And this is recommended in a very good book in pricing called Power Pricing by Robert Dolan. And in the next video, we'll show you how you could use polynomial curve from the trend curve to fit a demand. You sort of estimate demand at a high price, a low price, and an intermediate price. So we'll show that in the next video, and then we'll come back and talk about one more example of the power curve, the experience or learning curve, which is very important in the military and in the high-tech business and the drug business, pharmaceutical business, I'm sorry, not the Breaking Bad business. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and there's a free course, a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, and all of these videos are coming from one of 3 books. So first, this one, which you can see here at the top of the screen, Microsoft's book, which has 355 reviews, and then it's, let's see, 4.6 stars. It's coming from this book as well, his marketing analytics book, which is down here, and you can sort of see 4.5, or his newest book, his analytic stories book, which is here. And with that one, you can see it's 4 point something, or maybe even 5. I don't think it's 5. Yeah, 4.8. And so, yeah, anyways, in the description, there's a free 21-day course from Dr. Winston, or you can go to excelwithwayne.com/free, and it'll be there. But again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just please let us know. Thanks.